clean that.
I know. My house is dusty as all hell. And I'm upstairs where none of my cats or dogs go, and it's still ridiculous.
We are live now. Thank you so much. Hi, all you music lovers at YouTube land and at Facebook land, and welcome to another episode of Black Spinner Circle Music Podcast. And today we have with us two great guests: Al Horta from Be Cool or Be Podcast Out.
Hey.
And also we got Kate from the International House of Vinyl.
Howdy, howdy.
And today we got a special episode. Last month we did a vinyl battle. It went pretty well. Today we're having another vinyl battle. Today we're going to be doing Black Sabbath's Heaven and Hell versus Ozzy Osbourne's Blizzard of Oz. Now, there's a lot of similarities and a lot of things that go hand in hand with this. Of course, this was the first Black Sabbath without Ozzy. And I was reading also today that there's a track of Ozzy singing Children of the Sea. Mm-hmm. That there's a copy of that somewhere that Iommi has, but has not or will not release it. So Ozzy was working on this, but then they let him go at this time. And of course, also management. Sharon became the manager of Ozzy, while her father stayed the manager of Sabbath. So there was a lot of tension going on there as well. So, yeah.
And I read a thing that it was Sharon who introduced Tommy Iommi to Dio.
Yeah.
It is before they were married. So it's like, oh, you screwed over your future husband.
Yeah. And Sharon was having an affair with Iommi at the time as well, while he was married. And there was a lot of stuff going on there at that time.
Oh my gosh.
And, I think Sharon had to be the kind of manager that she is to deal with Ozzy. Does anyone know if she has any other clients besides Ozzy?
I think she used to.
Probably used to.
I think she used to do Cold Chamber.
I
think there may have been a few others, but I mean, she's mostly exclusively Ozzy.
Okay.
I'd have to really look it up.
Full-time job.
Yeah, right. It's a full-time job.
Managing Wild Man.
I may be wrong on the Cold Chamber thing. Maybe I'm confusing with. I know Tony Iommi is married to the woman that was in Cold Chamber or dates her or something.
Okay.
So maybe I'm confusing that, but I thought Sharon managed one of those metal bands from the 2000s, the more new metal,
like the new metal.
Yeah, probably some bands that were on Ozfest. I think she managed.
Okay,
she put that together, so obviously she's gonna
put them on the bill. Yep. Awesome. Well, let's get started. The way that we're gonna be doing this vinyl battle is that we're gonna go track versus track, track one versus track one, and so on and so on. And we'll take a tally and we'll see who wins here in the end. Let's start off with Al. We'll go to Kate, and then we'll go to me. Okay, battle number one. Black Sabbath Neon Nights against Ozzy's I Don't Know.
So, for the record,
yeah,
I was talking to Andy about this off before we went live, before you even came on, Kate. I didn't even prepare for this. I didn't even listen to either of the albums.
You know them by heart.
I've listened to them plenty of times, and I didn't even labor. I didn't even think about it. I came into this. I want this to be spontaneous, off the top of my head, from the gut, and so on and so forth. So it's going I Don't Know versus Neon Nights, correct?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That's a tough one, man, because those are both awesome opening tracks on the
radio
album.
hits for both of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a tough one, man, but I'm going to I Don't Know from Blizzard of Oz. I love the way it opens up with this the gong swell that swells in, fades in, and then Randy just comes in with the I mean, that's just introducing the world to Randy. And well, he was in Choir Eye before that, but nobody really knew him from that. So
Yeah, but this was a
really
bigger audience. Yeah.
This is really introducing him to the world, and I mean, anybody who knows me knows that Randy Rhoads is one of my holy trinity of guitar players that I love. And but however, Iommi was the first guitar player I really like learned from, because Iron Man was the first song I ever learned on guitar. So I love Iommi as well. However, full disclosure, I didn't really listen to Heaven and Hell until much later on after it was released. I didn't really listen to Dio era Sabbath, none of that. I was, in my younger years, I was pretty much an Ozzy purist with Sabbath, and I didn't give those albums a chance until like later on. And a friend of mine had Heaven and Hell, and he let me borrow it, and I'm like, what the hell have I been missing, man? This is a great album, but again, I'm going, I don't know, because I got that album when I was a kid, and I grew up with it, and Randy was my hero, and so I'm going with that one as a better opening song. I love both songs though. Both songs are great, but I don't know when's on with me on this one, so I'm going, I don't know, for Blizzard of Oz.
Kate?
This one was a tough one because, like, I don't know, Indian Nights are both such iconic songs for both albums.
Right.
I went with Neon Nights, but I love I Don't Know too. I mean, Al described it really well. It's just hard to pick them because both are so good. Yeah, and I love Dio. Like you guys know, I've talked about it. Dio is awesome. So I had to go with that one on this first track.
On this one, it is so amazing how Neon Nights just comes out of the gates, just blazing. So aggressive. And also, these albums are a departure.
They're very different, because they're like Dio Sabbath is totally different, which I get where people are like, it shouldn't be Sabbath without Ozzy, and I get that feeling because it is very different Sabbath. The sound is totally different. I was reading a thing that like Ozzy sings along with the riff, and like Dio will sing across the riff, or like different, and you can go in such different directions from that.
There's
like, man, I didn't like, I'm not a big music theory person, but then hearing someone say it, and I was like, holy crap, like there really is like a big difference in how their style is and where they could go, and even and their vocal range and everything so different. And that really made Sabbath on this just sounds like a totally different band on a lot of the tracks.
What were you gonna say, Al?
I was just going to say that the Dio fronted Sabbath has a more of a melodic sensibility to it. It's just the vocal style that Dio sings in, and I don't really prefer one vocal style over the other. I love Ozzy and I love Ronnie.
Well, like Dio could be like operatic, like he could have been an opera singer almost. That he like hits that level.
And at full disclosure, I'm not that big on the whole operatic vocal thing. However, I do love Ronnie as a vocalist. He's unbelievable. But for those, I always defend Ozzy though, because everybody's always like, oh, Dio had way more range than Ozzy. But listen to friggin' Sabbath Plays Sabbath and the Sabotage records, and listen to how high Ozzy sings on them. And I challenge any vocalist to try to sing like that.
He can get really high.
It's not easy. It's not easy, and there's a reason why Sabbath didn't do those songs on these last couple of tours with Ozzy, because Ozzy can't even do it
now.
So, but I challenge any singer to sing The Thrill of It All, or like Sabbath Plays Sabbath, or anything off of those albums, Spiral Architect, and you tell me how easy it is to sing. It's not. So I always have to defend Ozzy on that, because he doesn't have the operatic stylings of Dio, but it would listen. You don't have to have that to be a great singer. He had personality, he had charisma, and that's and that's all you need to know. So
their voices.
But I love both of them, man. Full disclosure, I love both of those. I love both of them, and I met Ronnie, and he's the nicest, and he was such a sweetheart of a guy, So, but enough of me rambling. That's your turn to go, I think, Andy, right?
Huh?
I think it was your turn to go, right?
Yeah. But what and even Blizzard of Oz was completely different from the Black Sabbath side. It was like both bands were introducing or trying to be the front runners of the new wave of British heavy metal. You know, they were up there with them. So I am on here. I will be the tiebreaker, and I will go with I Don't Know on this one because I was always more familiar with that. And Randy really did take that song to another level with a couple of solos.
Yeah.
You know, I almost didn't pick it because of the repetitive lyrics on I Don't Know, when Neon Nights kind of pushes forward lyrically, but Randy Rhoads really does add his texture on that album. I'm sorry, on that track where a 3-minute song, what could have been a 3-minute song, pushed it to 5:16 as an opener. So that's why I picked I Don't Know, was pretty much because of the dynamics that Randy brought to that song and the introduction of the Blizzard of Oz band. So that's why I went that way. Track 2. Woo-hoo! Track 2's hard, man. Track 2's hard. Children of the Sea versus Crazy Train.
This is this is a tough one, man. This is a tough one.
Children of the Sea against Crazy Train.
Again, both iconic tracks.
Oh yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna say iconic, Crazy Train really is the more radio hit. The more, I mean, this really is Ozzy's signature track.
Yeah.
And as much as I've heard it a billion times, I still love it. I mean, I've played this on a guitar when I was first learning guitar too. I love the riff to it. However, I'm going with Children of the Sea because that's like one of my favorite songs off of this album, off of Heaven and Hell. I love the way Ronnie sings on it. I love the guitar that Tony plays on it. The riff on that's really cool, melodic, but still has a heaviness to it. I love Geezer's bass playing in it. He kills on there. As iconic of a track as Crazy Train is, I'm going with this one. Children of the Sea, man. I'm gonna go against the grain on this one. It's going from the gut here. So, like I said, I didn't rehearse for this. I'm going in cold. Off the top of my head, I'm going Children of the Sea on this one.
All right, interesting. Nice.
If I don't hear Crazy Train ever again, I don't really care. I mean, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not taking points away from it because of the burnout factor. I for one, to be quite honest with you, Crazy Train. If we're ranking the songs on Blizzard of Oz, it would actually be on the lower half of the ranking. I don't think it's like the best song on the album in one bit. That's just my opinion. I know people will disagree. I love the song, but I'm going with Children of the Sea because it's like that's an upper level of songs I love on Heaven and Hell. So yeah, Children of the Sea for me.
Kate.
This one's a tough one too. Off the cuff, I went with Crazy Train. It is like such a huge Ozzy hit, and
you hear it at sporting events. You hear it everywhere.
It's everywhere.
Yeah,
and
it is his signature hit.
Yeah.
Randy's guitar on this one. There's a lot of good stuff about this song. I just have a funny, like, weird sentimental memory of it because a friend of mine played this at a talent show in junior high. And being in junior high in the early 2000s, and people are like, what in the hell? Like, all the kids had no freaking clue what was going on. But he killed it, and you can imagine being like, what are you, 11 or you're 12 in junior high and playing that, and he killed it. But I already knew it. Like, my dad is a big Sabbath nut in that. Like, he wasn't much of an Ozzy nut, but I knew it because he would listen to stuff like that. But Yeah, I don't know. That just has like a special place in my brain somewhere. Both killer tracks though. Yeah. It's great.
You know, when they came out with that Crazy Train video for the tribute, you know, with a flying V on the train, and you know, Ozzy's foot gets on the rails, and I mean, but
yeah,
that video was great when it came out, man. I love it.
Yeah. I mean,
there was never any videos for any of the Ozzy or Randy songs. There was really nothing, and to see that was like such a treat, you know.
Yeah, and the album cover for tribute is just so great.
I love that. It's so sweet.
Yeah,
such a good picture. Of one of my record groups, the guy started printing that on guitar picks. They have the record group name on it. And I got one in the mail, and I was like, "Oh, it's so precious." But they were such good buds, and that like Randy's so young in this, and so like it came out in September of '80 in the UK, and then in '81 in the US, and then he died in '82. It's like I don't know. It's just
if you think about that time frame nowadays, it's like a blip on the radar. It's like I don't know. Like back then when we were like kids, you thought of time was pretty slow. Like a year went by.
I know.
Pretty slow. Now it's like, you know, in a blink of an eye.
A year's gone. I know. It's so weird.
Yeah, well, it's because we're always so busy. Time goes by so fast. When we were kids, we weren't just busy.
We're just
doing anything. And you didn't realize it at all. And you're like, kids, I can't wait to grow up.
Yeah, when we're
like,
kids.
What have I done to myself?
We're dreaming and we're
sitting around.
Just, you know.
I think when kids, it's like pets, you know, like you live in the moment so much, and like when you're young, you don't have so many thoughts you don't think about everything else going on in your life. Like you're in that moment, just like a dog. Like what's happier than a dog at a park playing, you know? And little kids like that, like you're just in that moment, so time seems like it lasts for so long. Yeah, I don't know.
But my pick, even though I love Crazy Train, Children of the Sea, it's so iconic. It's not iconic, but it is such a powerful operatic song that introduces that sound, introduces the Dio Sabbath sound that can be epic. That's the sound I was looking for. It was an epic track, and it took you places, and that's why I picked Children of the Sea on this one. And also, Tony Iommi had said that with Ozzy that they really couldn't stretch their music out as like they wanted to, you know. But you know, with Heaven and Hell, I really think it was a jab at Ozzy just because they were throwing barbs at Ozzy, because I don't remember Ozzy throwing any barbs the other way. I really don't. But you know.
Oh, he did.
Did he?
Yeah, he did.
Well, okay. that biography thing where he says he had
the midget during the small person.
Right. Well, okay.
he had the midget, like, you know, and he named him Ronnie, and he hung him on stage, like,
that's right.
My God.
He's like, he'd always introduce him, say hello to Ronnie. You know,
oh my gosh! Yeah,
believe me, he threw jabs at him.
But he says that he felt like he was in direct competition with Sabbath.
Yeah,
for this.
But Children of the Sea to me was the better track of this, even though I know Crazy Train like the back of my hand, and I love that song. I still love it. If it's on the radio, I'll jam it, or wherever I'm at, I hear it, I enjoy it. But lately, it's that sound of Children of the Sea that's just, it's great, you know? It's added bonuses. So, track 3, Lady Evil against Goodbye to Romance.
Another good pairing there.
Another good battle for track number 3. So, which one's the better track to y'all, Lady Evil or Goodbye to Romance?
Okay, I'm going with Goodbye to Romance. I think it's one of the most beautiful ballads that Ozzy ever sang. I love the guitar that Randy does, and that the very melodic solo that he does. Not to take away from Lady Evil. Lady Evil's cool. It starts off with the geezer bass. It almost sounds like it's going to be a dance song. To be honest with you, like almost like it has almost kind of a disco-y like beginning to it. You know, dun, 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 you know, like something almost like Kiss would do. You know, and he sings great. And Lady Evil, I mean, it's a great song. But I'm going with Goodbye to Romance because Randy just melodically and Ozzy sings beautifully on that. It's just a great song, you know, a great early ballad of his. And so Goodbye to Romance, Blizzard of Oz, that's my pick.
Kate?
So I'm going the opposite. I'm going Lady Evil. I'm not big on rock ballads. I'm trying to even think of one that I'm like, oh, I really like that one. But I don't know. I'm not a big rock ballad person. Lady Evil loses a little bit from me because it's like so repetitive, and that's what you're saying with like I don't know that I'm like I'm not a big lyrics repetition person. That I think that's like boring songwriting.
Yeah,
but I love Dio's voice in that. And like you said, the opening and the bass and everything, like I don't know, it does win me over because I listen to these track by track, the verses, and that one I was like, all right, I like that one more.
I can't argue with any of this shit because it's like,
yeah.
I mean, they're both great songs, man.
Yeah, and I'm not saying like even that's a bad song. I myself am not a big like rock ballads person. Like if I put on some metal or something, like I want to listen to some metal, you know.
All right, I am the complete opposite. I love a hard rock, heavy metal ballad.
I think you guys are going to be on the same team, and I'm out.
And to me, I just think a rock ballad is so heartfelt and so real compared to other ballads that are so saccharine or whatever. I love a good rock ballad, especially there in the mid '80s where it was almost textbook. You would release your first track, your second track had to be
a ballad.
And you know, I love that formula. And then the third track was back to rock. Back to got a good sound. I was reading today as well that Goodbye to Romance was written to Sabbath. That's what the song is about. Is Ozzy's goodbye to Sabbath. That's
well, you'd have to ask Bob Daisley that because he's the one that wrote the lyrics to all these songs.
Right. So there's a lot of contradiction with the Blizzard of Oz because there's a lot of other hands in the writing that did not get their due to that.
Yeah.
So I've
been meaning to pick up Bob Daisley's book too. I want to get it and read it. I heard it's like really good. So he's definitely a talented dude. So
yeah, and it's a shame that this band didn't stick together longer because the band was supposed to be called Blizzard of Oz. That was supposed to be the name of the band because this was supposed to be an introduction to the band, not a Ozzy solo album. But it would have been nice to see what else could have came from the help of the writing and the different kinds of instruments that these guys would play. So, but I am going to stick with Goodbye to Romance on this. And not to be on Al's side, but it's because I really like a good ballad. And
I like a ballad when it's done right.
Yeah, a lot of rock ballads are
cheesy.
You think so? Oh, dude, I love them. I got CDs of compilations of ballads by.
I'm guilty of liking some cheesy ballads, though.
Andy's a romantic.
I wouldn't say that. I just like a good ballad. Even though it took me a while to get into Changes off of Volume 4.
Yeah, I hear you.
I like that, but that I probably posted it, but that Charles Bradley cover of that, oh my god, that there's a lot of really good covers of that though. But yeah, that's one I could say that I really do like that a lot, and even Ozzy's version and a bunch of different covers of it are
but for me, when I first started listening to the Sabbath 4 or to Volume 4, it ruined the flow of that album. But now No, I really respect it.
Mhm.
You know how sometimes songs are overplayed on the radio, and they're overplayed on the radio, but you love it when you hear it on the album because it's exactly where it should be. You
Right.
know what
There's
I
a lot
mean?
of songs that it needs the placement of how they arranged it.
Yeah, like just for an example, this always gets me every time I hear "Blood Sugar Sex Magic" by the Chili Peppers, and I hear "Under the Bridge." Even though I've heard it a million times on the radio, even on soft rock radio, but when you hear it on the album and the, in the sequence, it's
It's such
perfect.
a huge
In the
switch up.
context of the album, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And that's a 180 between the songs of how the songs are, like the whole vibe of the song.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
All
but
right.
this one probably like Crazy Train to Goodbye to Romance. And like, what happened? Like, it's
Yeah.
such a big flip. So I think that's why my brain like triggers is like, wait a minute, this doesn't belong here.
So we're gonna skip D.
Yeah.
I think because it is a beautiful acoustic ballad, but it's too short. It's more of a snippet than an actual song, in my opinion. So the next tracks we're gonna go with the title track, "Heaven and Hell" versus "Suicide Solution."
Man, when I was looking ahead at this one, man, this is probably for me got to be the toughest choice out of this whole thing. I mean, they're both phenomenal songs, man, and it's really, 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 really friggin' tough. But looking at both of them, I would say this: if it was the live version of Suicide Solution with Randy's unaccompanied solo, that may have edged it out. But however, Heaven and Hell, the song, is such an epic track. When I will tell you something about this before I even give you my pick, and I think you know where I'm going with this. So I still get goosebumps. But the hairs on my neck and whatever, they still stand up to this day. Whenever I'm listening to Heaven and Hell, and when it breaks down and it's just the bass and the drums, right before it goes into Tony's solo, and Tony like hits that solo, hits the one note, and it's like on a delay. There's a delay repeat on it. I still like being a guitar player myself. He uses that solo, and he makes it very spacious. The solo, it's just he doesn't go in blazing. He just you hear him, and it's just you hear the echo, the delay on it, and I don't know, man. Every time I hear that, it just still blows me away to this day, and it's such an epic fucking track, man. I love that track so much. I got to go with this one, man. As much as it pains me to pick it over Evolution, which was Randy's like centerpiece in concert. I mean, that's where his unaccompanied solo was. When you listen to Tribute in the middle of Suicide Solution, he goes into this fucking blazing solo. But we're not talking about Tribute here.
Right.
We're talking about the album track. So I'm going with Heaven and Hell, the title track, because I don't know, man. The epicness of it, the riff that just Tony plays, it just blew my head apart when I first heard it. And like I said, man, when it goes into that solo spot of his, the hairs on my back of my neck, man, I still get goosebumps like when I think about it. And very rarely a song does that to me after hearing it so many years. But yeah, man, fucking Heaven and Hell, dude, this song, I gotta go with that one, man. I gotta, as much as it's tough, man, between that and Suicide, Heaven and Hell for me. So that was a real tough choice right there, man.
Get over here, come on.
I gotta breathe.
You're holding your breath and all puffed up the whole time. You're all excited.
I'm telling you, that solo spot when
it's so good.
Solo though, man.
Yeah.
It's so good.
It's just like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
Like it's a delay.
Yeah.
It's just this perfect, like it's
Just
light and shade.
The tone that you can get,
he just uses the space between the notes are as important as the notes. Guitar players like who are out there, they'll know what I mean by that.
It's like jazz. That's like really good jazz artists, when you have that space between and you can fill that, that's
Yeah.
somebody, I get what you mean by that, because that's
Yeah.
It's like waiting for the perfect moment to start it.
yeah.
You
Well,
know,
and he lets
letting
it
it
bring out,
grow to that,
yeah.
it's building up drama pretty
It
much.
does. He built up a perfect. That solo is that's the perfect way I put it, Andy. He builds up this
It's coming.
drama in the solo.
Yeah.
That he just starts off, and then towards the end of the solo, I mean, he's just wailing away and blazing,
Mhm.
And Tony Iommi he's underrated as a soloist. He doesn't get the props. He's always called the riff master,
The
which he
riff.
is.
Yeah.
But his solos are great too, man.
Oh yeah.
He's very tasteful. He knows what the song needs.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, you're so right about that. Kate, which way are you going to go on this one?
So I do like both these songs. I am going with Heaven and Hell. I think on this album, in my brain, this is like the most Sabbathy sounding song. But the Suicide Solution, they got in a lot of trouble for that. Like, went through a whole lawsuit, which was dismissed and everything, because a kid committed suicide, unfortunately, and they the parents blamed the band for a kid listening to metal. So that's when all that crap started with all the ratings and everything.
Yeah.
But that he ended up coming out, Ozzy ended up coming out and saying that this song is more about my friend drinking himself to death.
Bon Scott.
And that's and what he's talking about, that alcohol lyrics and stuff that are in there, that he's talking about that, but then that whole thing comes up of people thinking that they're satanic and they're encouraging teens to hurt themselves, blah blah blah. So it's interesting to read the backstory on that, because I was wondering about it. I remember watching stuff about it, but
I love Ozzy and all, but it's very, there's a lot of revisionist history with him, man. I mean, he's saying that the song he wrote it about Bon Scott, but he didn't write the lyrics to it. It was Bob Daisley that wrote the lyrics, and I think according to Bob was writing it about Ozzy.
About Ozzy, yeah.
So
Ozzy doesn't want it to be about him.
No. Yeah. So it's just the whole thing of writing people out of the story. I love Ozzy, man. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm a huge fan of his still, but he tries to write people out of the history that helped him out, and I know, it's not to take away from Ozzy's talent. Ozzy's a talented guy, but he needed to be surrounded by people that were talented to help him.
Of course.
He was not like a Chris Cornell where he could write songs and
then he could just be on his own.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, he could do solo anything literally by himself and be phenomenal. And Ozzy, I mean, the Murderers Row of People, where you have Bob Daisley and you have Randy Rhoads in that, and it's what would that band be without them?
Yeah,
I mean, especially Randy. That's
exactly.
Especially when they did the remasters and they re-recorded the bass and the drum.
Oh man, I never even touched those.
No, I didn't either.
I saw those CDs in the store. I'm like, I got the originals, man. There's no reason for me to buy this shit.
Yeah,
and that's despicable. But I think that's more of a Sharon move than an Ozzy move.
Exactly.
And Ozzy just lets it happen.
Yeah.
With those kind of moves. But
good night, sweetie.
Oh, come here, Kayla.
Good night, Kayla.
Thank you.
Kayla, birthday.
Kayla, what happened to you today?
I
Tell the camera.
I got
Look in the camera there.
Oh.
No, you gotta.
I'm sorry. I got into the National Junior Honor Society.
Oh, that's awesome! Congratulations.
So today was her award ceremony.
Oh, good job.
Wow, good job. That's a lot of hard work to get commended for it. That's great.
That's awesome.
Good night.
Good night.
Dad's gonna take you to a celebratory concert.
Well, I'm taking her to see Paul McCartney.
Yeah, that's right.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, me, her, and my wife are going. So.
Yeah, that'll be so cool.
Yeah, I gotta have her see a Beatle before there's none left.
Yeah.
And I have a feeling that Ringo's going to show up at that show too. So
he said he's in town.
It's not going to be that far from
he's
there.
He's playing a few nights before in New Jersey, and that's And I think the New Jersey show is Paul's last concert of the tour. So I have a feeling they're probably going to film it and everything too.
Ah,
And
that'd be so cool.
I think Ringo is going to come out, man. I just have this gut feeling.
Yeah,
So,
that'd be so awesome.
yeah.
I've never seen Ringo, and I would love to see
I
Ringo.
wanna
I've seen the All-Star Band twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I was just looking at tickets today, and it was like the 2 dates not by me, but within 3 hours of me in Michigan are both sold out. I was like, I'll figure it out.
Tough.
But I want to
If
see them.
you play the waiting game though on the day of the show, you might be
That's
able
what I was thinking, because that was like regular tickets that myself could afford, and the one
Mhm.
didn't. It was like $350 a ticket. It was like,
wow.
no, that's insane.
Yeah, that's.
I love the Beatles, but I don't have $700.
Yeah, just laying around, right?
Well, yeah,
You're
my
like, what am I going
pocket
to do with
change.
all this money that I have?
I'll just sell one of my gold scepters and go to see Ringo. So, but anyway, I would finish just like you described Heaven and Hell perfect, Al. I mean, it's just such a phenomenal. The guitar on that, Tommy, is so amazing at the like letting stuff ring out and then picking up at the right point. He's so genius with that. I'll talk about that again towards the end, but like, yeah. And Dio's voice, I just adore Dio. I think it's tough for me to pick like the best metal vocalist, which I love Halford, but Dio and him are so high up there in my mind. So it's like such a good album. And we talked about it before. Was that like the 1980s show? Did I talk about that? Because that was one of my picks in the 1980s show. That album's just so good. So yeah. And what's your pick, Andy?
Yeah, for me, I love Heaven and Hell. I love that track.
Mm-hmm.
I think this is one of Dio's best vocals of that he's done on any Sabbath album. I just think it was a phenomenal song. Again, I'm going to go back to Children of the Sea. It's like part 2 of Children of the Sea with that kind of epic sound, that kind of epic feeling. And I'm going to go with Heaven and Hell. It was a sweep. I think I talked to Al about how I've always felt about Suicide Solution. You know, it's always been kind of a taboo thing for me, and I understand it, and I do try to see it in a different view. But the lyrics are just so, I don't know, they're just so cryptic to me.
Mm-hmm.
So but I went with Heaven and Hell on here easily, kind of. All right. Wishing Well against Mr. Crowley.
This one's a little bit easier for me. I'm going Mr. Crowley. Wishing Well is a good song. Not one of my favorites on here, though. But Mr. Crowley's an iconic song on this album. Yeah, Randy's solo on here is just the classical. It's just incredible, man. Like he really shines on this solo here. He shines on every song on this album, but I mean, especially Mr. Crowley. The beginning part with the keyboard, you know, intro and which is pretty iconic in itself. And then just I don't know, dude. Mr. Crowley just rules, man. I mean, what else can I say? Randy just friggin' destroys on this song. So I'm going with Mr. Crowley. I'm not going to dwell too much on it, man. It's just to me, that was a pretty easy pick, though. I like it more than Wishing Well.
Kate?
Same. It was the easier pick for me. This is such a badass song, and knowing like Crowley and all that stuff behind it, and this is such a good one of like Ozzy's voice in it. Just that when he just comes into that, like I don't know, it triggers something in my brain. But such
Mr. Crowley.
Yeah, you know, I just love how his voice sounds in that. And that's thinking of like Ozzy and Dio, where they're both phenomenal singers. No one sounds like them, and that's especially this song. Like to me, like really Ozzy melds himself to this song so well. So that's why this one was an easy pick for me. That is like Mr. Crowley, hands down.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's going to be sweep. For me, it's Mr. Crowley. I think Mr. Crowley is a fantastic track. Mm-hmm. Again, you know, like y'all had touched on Randy Rhoads was great on here, but also Ozzy's voice and the rest of the band. I mean, Lee Kerslake on drums is just fantastic on
Very
this song.
underrated, man. He's a
Yeah,
great drummer.
yeah, he really is. And but
A lot of people don't know either, but he had a hand in the songwriting as well. He wasn't just a drummer. I think he contributed to some lyrics as well, and to some of the melodic, the melodies of the album. You know, I think it was said that when Randy, Bob, and Lee would rehearse, and Ozzy wasn't there, I think Lee would actually like kind of sing like scat vocal while drumming. I believe he did that, and he came up with some melodic things on some of the songs. So his contribution is pretty kind of understated, but he did contribute a lot as well. You know, and where people don't normally associate with drummers with being songwriters, there are a certain few though. You know, and he was definitely. I think. You know, I mean, I've read snippets of Bob Daisley's book like online. I still want to get a physical copy and read it all the way through, though. But I think he does mention that in there. So I could be wrong. If somebody who's watching they could comment on that, but I think so. I think he really contributed. So, but yeah, Lee kills, man. He's a great drummer, man. It's a shame we lost him. I think we lost him like a year or two ago already. So,
well, what's the other guy? Is Dixie Lee?
Who?
Dixie Lee, I think, is the other drummer. There was a difference of drummers between the two, because then Lee Kerslake became their permanent drummer. So I have to look that up.
Are you talking about what, Ozzy or?
Yeah, for Ozzy. I feel like, I don't know if it's studio that it's a different guy on it, and then Lee Kerslake became their permanent drummer. I feel like something was different.
No, Lee was there from the beginning.
Okay, he's the studio. He's on the studio album and everything.
When they were going to be,
I could look at it.
No, he's on Blizzard and Diary. They're both
okay.
You know, that whole band is on the 2 albums. Even though on Diary of a Madman it's Tommy Aldridge and Rudy Sarzo pictured inside, they did not play on that album. It was Lee Kerslake and Bob Daisley. They played on both albums completely, so nobody else was on there.
And Randy was gone before.
And like Andy said, they were going to be called Blizzard of Oz. It was going to be a band in the beginning, and then he sacked them, and you know, they did a UK tour of this the Blizzard of Oz. And then after the UK tour, Ozzy sacked them and got Rudy Sarzo and Tommy Aldridge, both great players in their own right. You know, obviously, I love Tommy Aldridge as a drummer. He's freaking fantastic. But no, on the albums, it's weird when you think about it. Like, okay, like he sacked them on the UK tour, but yet they did Blizzard of Oz and they were on that album. So what did he do? Bring him back? You know? And
yeah, it's weird.
I think the timeline on it is.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, because I was reading something about the other drummer, another drummer, Dixie Lee. That's what I was wondering. I don't know. I have to look it up. I was reading something about that I can't remember if it was like he was going to leave and then they had Lee Kerslake as the permanent drummer, or what the deal was. But they had that, you know, they'd like kicked Ozzy out, and I'm wondering if there was like another amalgamation that we don't know, and then they put out this with Lee Kerslake, or how that went. I'm not sure.
I never heard of,
reading that. I read something about a different drummer.
So,
yeah,
because Lee Kerslake came from Uriah Heep.
Yeah,
and he wrote a lot with Uriah Heep.
Bob Daisley was also on Uriah Heep too.
Okay, like during the same time or when?
Yeah, they were the rhythm section in there, like at a certain point.
Well, okay. You know, there goes that talk we had a couple of weeks ago about all these interchanging English hard rock musicians interchanging with different bands and have played with each other and bringing them along on different projects. So.
Well, it's like who they get along with, that they'll pick that person and be like, oh, I know this guy. He was in this band. And then they pick who they like, they got along with. Well,
Bob Daisley's been on a lot of great albums, man.
Yeah.
He was in Rainbow. He was in Sabbath. He was in Gary Moore. He was in a lot of different bands. I think No, I don't know if he was in Whitesnake or not, but I mean, like me and Andy talked about one time, like all those bands, Deep Purple, Rainbow, Whitesnake, Sabbath, they all like members came in and out of all those bands.
Mhm,
Like,
Yeah.
mhm.
everybody knew each other, like from England. You know, England's not as big as the U.S., so you know everybody knows each other there.
Yeah.
Small
Yeah.
enough,
Yeah.
it's a small enough country where everybody kind of knew each other. So you
Yeah,
know,
they all came from the same area
they
as
came
well,
up.
you know.
They came up together. You know.
Well,
Yeah.
like that kind of metal intro to metal and going into metal scene is pretty small. So then to be like, oh, I have this guy, he does this great, whatever. I'm sure
Yeah.
that's yeah,
Yep.
that's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah. What a
So
talented dude if he wrote all the lyrics and plays drums and everything was in all of those different bands.
yeah, because he wrote a lot for because one of my favorite albums was by Uriah Heep of Salisbury,
Mhm.
and he did a lot of writing on that too.
Hmm.
It's a really good album. Next track, "Die Young" by Black Sabbath versus No Bone Movies by Ozzy.
See, this is going to be an easy one too, but it's going to go to the Sabbath side. So Die Young is definitely wins easy on this one. This is an easier pick.
Yeah,
Going on the opposite way, the Sabbath side. Yeah, Die Young, man. I got to pick that one. I like No More Movies as a good rocker, but to me, that's almost kind of like if there was going to be a filler track, quote unquote.
it's a silly song.
It's a filler track.
Mhm.
Let's be honest about it, but not to say that I don't like the track. I like the track. It rocks, but to me, it's just like it sounds like they just got together in the studio and hammered it out in like 5 minutes. Let's just
Yeah, there
jam
was
on this
nothing
riff.
special about it. There was no intricate parts.
Yeah, let's just jam on this riff. I'll think of lyrics off the top of my head, and pretty much that's it. But Die Young, man, it's like going back to Mr. Crowley. It opens up with this cool like keyboard part, like a swirling keyboard, kind of building the tension, and then boom, man, fucking Die Young just goes in that riff, and Dio just kills on this song like vocally, as he usually does. And then when it slows down in the middle of it, he's like Die Young, like really mellow, and then it goes into that keyboard part, and there's Tony rips into the riff and then into the solo, and just a well crafted song. And so Die Young, man, I got to go with Die Young on Heaven and Hell. Easy choice on this one.
Kate.
I agree, Die Young. No Bones is just kind of goofy and very repetitive. I had to look up the lyrics. It's like, I don't even know what he's saying. He's hard to understand sometimes because it's like the Pickney
I
accent.
think it's about. I think honestly, it's about watching adult movie, porno.
Yeah, that's what I figure it's about. But I was like, what is he even saying? And I looked at the title and I was like, it doesn't even sound like he's saying no bones. He's like, I don't know. But yeah, Die Young definitely beats this one for sure. It's a much better song.
Yeah, No Bone Movies is about being addicted to porn and not wanting to be addicted to it. But Die Young, just another song that falls in the same reign as Children of the Sea, Heaven and Hell, and Die Young. I mean, that's almost a trifecta on this album. So I went with Die Young as well, which was a sweep on that too. Next track, Walk Away by Sabbath against Revelation, Mother's Earth.
This is a pretty easy pick for me too. Just looking at it, I got to go Revelation, Mother Earth. Randy's classical playing really shines on this song. I Walk Away is a good song, but it's one of the lower songs on the Heaven and Hell album. It's still a good song, but no way it beats Revelation for me. Randy just destroys on this song again, and like classical influence on here big time. And to me, I always consider Revelation, Mother Earth, and the song Diary of a Madman, the title song, is kind of brother and sister. Really strong classical playing within the two songs. So yeah, Revelation, Mother Earth, man. I got to go with that one because Randy's solo in this is just incredible. One of the hardest things, I ever tried to learn. I never learned it, but I got to keep trying though.
Yeah, of course.
So, but yeah, Revelation for me, man.
Kate, which way are you gonna go in this one?
I had to go Revelation too, because that Walk Away to me is like, I don't know, it's not metal, so I felt like it's out of place on this album.
It almost feels like it's a Van Halen song.
Yeah,
Van Halen-ish.
it's too like pop rocky. I don't know, and I'm not into like any of that kind of stuff. So to me, this just felt out of place. But definitely that, like you said, that more classical, and for like one of the slower tracks on there, that's one that I really do like. That it's not a ballad because it's not like a love song. I don't know, but
no, it's not a ballad.
For a slower
sorry,
song,
Kate. No, it's not.
For a slower song out there that I'm like, is so good. Like you really do see the, I don't even know, like the spectrum of stuff that Randy could do.
Right.
And that's a good one to showcase his ability to shred or just be like beautiful, melodic, you know, I don't know. So that one definitely was an easy one for me to pick over Walk Away.
Yeah, Randy really excels on that song, man.
Yeah. It makes it sing. I don't know. It's just like that could be just him playing and nothing else.
It could be just an instrumental. It'd be like
exactly.
Yeah.
It could just be him doing it all his own, and it'd be phenomenal. So that's definitely the better track in my opinion as well.
Yeah. For me, I'm gonna go the same route with Revelation, Mother Earth. But y'all been talking about Randy Rhoads' guitar on here. Also, this is the closest Ozzy vocals are to Sabbath Days. The way that he sings this, it was a Sabbath sounding voice.
I can see that,
because he doesn't sing any other song like in this kind of key on any other song on here. It just reminds me, it's the most Sabbath-like song to me, with that classic sound. So, of course, I went with Revelation, Mother Earth, as well, and that's what sticks out to me. Of course, the guitar playing, but just the greatness of Ozzy's voice on that. So that was a clean sweep. On side 2, it seems to be a clean sweep, going back and forth.
A few, yeah,
going back and forth. Okay, guys, last track. Lonely is the word. Again, Steal Away the Night on Wizard of Oz.
So, looking at these two songs, yeah, Lonely is the Word is a really good song, but Steal Away the Night wins it for me on this one too. I love the way it goes from Revelation right into like Steal Away. It's almost like those two songs have to be played back to back. Like you can't just cut Revelation off and not play Steal Away. They even did it in concert too on a tribute album. You know, one right after the other, one right into the other. And it's it's just a blazing track, and Randy he blazes on that song, man. You know, but again with a melodic sensibility. I mean, as only Randy does. His guitar shines again on there, and I don't know, man. To me, I think it's just a better song over Lonely is the Word. Lonely is the Word is a good song, but I think they could have ended a little bit on a higher note. But again, Dio sounds great on that song, man. You can't take that away from him. But I mean, I'm going to edge it out to Steal Away the Night on this one. So that's my pick for this one, Steal Away.
That was stressful for you.
Yeah, stressful.
That was like Sophie's choice for you.
These are two great albums, man. I can't,
Yeah, it's hard. Some of these songs are so iconic. Both are so well done, and then you pick one.
Yeah, and going back before we end it, since it's the last song, I didn't come into Heaven and Hell until later, like I said before. Whereas, like when I was young, I mean, when I'm not gonna say it was brand new, I was still when
1981 and
when Wizard of Oz came out, I was only 9 years old. So
yeah,
I do remember. I remember I remember Diary of a Madman more than Blizzard first because actually Diary I think came on my radar. Although I remember hearing Crazy Train on the radio, so that song because it was a hit, man. And but I didn't. It wasn't until Diary that I really like started getting on it. Then I got, but like I said, I lived with Blizzard longer than Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell, man, I didn't get that until well into when I was into high school. So, maybe like 87, 88, maybe I really kind of got it. Like I said, I wasn't given. I didn't give Sabbath a chance all through those years without Ozzy. But actually, a little unrelated, the first Sabbath album without Ozzy that I really got into was the Born Again album with Ian Gillan.
Yeah, that's a good album.
That's my favorite. That's my favorite non-Ozzy era Sabbath album. I love that album so much. That's heavy Sabbath, man. Dark, evil Sabbath. Not to say that the Dio stuff doesn't have evilness and darkness to it.
But this is a whole different.
That's a whole different level.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's a whole other show. But it's gonna be so. Like I didn't get into Sabbath without Ozzy until later on. I started giving it a chance as I got a little older. And one more thing about it though, I will say this. Both these albums. Oh, you know what? I'll wait until the end of the show to talk about that. So, Steal Away the Night's my pick. So go ahead, Kate. I don't want to steal your thunder there.
You're gonna steal away the night, Al.
Yeah, I'm gonna steal away.
I went with Lonely is the Word. I was having a tough time with this last track because both are really good, obviously. Allegedly this is like based on an old blues song, and I was trying to find what it was, but I didn't have I don't know, I didn't have much time today to research everything, but supposedly it's based on an old blues song. But I was listening to these on the way home, and this one I ended up picking last minute because just listening to like Iommi's guitar playing on this one, that is like probably this is the track that I was almost most impressed by because it's not shredding, it's like him really
picking.
Yeah, and that I was just like, damn, this is so good, and it's a lot of him playing, so you really get a long portion of the song is no vocals and him playing. So that's what won me over on this one. So it's like he's so freaking talented, and to be someone like, when was his hand injury? Do you guys know when he had his finger cut off? Like
that was in the 60s when.
Yeah, so he's already injured at this point, and just freaking, I don't know. This song,
the way that was well before Sabbath's first album.
Yeah, I think that was already gone, right? Yeah, because that's all his guitar tone. Part of the guitar tone is him. Yeah, but I'm like, holy smokes, this one you really get a feel, because that's when you said earlier that like people dismiss him as just like a riff dude, and this is not like that at all. It's not shreddy, but he's still like killing it.
You got a point there.
Yeah, so I was listening to that. I was driving home and I was like running late for this show, so I'm like hauling ass and listening to this. I'm like, damn, this is really good driving.
Like, I'm gonna pick this one if I ever get home.
So yeah, that one won me over, that I listened to that because I probably listened to every single one of these twice, if not thrice. and this one, just driving home, that it really hit me that I was really listening to his guitar work on that. And it's like, holy smokes, he's so talented, and he never gets the credit that he deserves, except for like people like us, but anybody else who, they like music, but it's not a passion for them.
Yeah, you don't hear people say Tony Iommi.
Yeah, no, you never hear that, so that's like, I feel like this is a really good song that's showcasing a lot of, besides just riffing and shredding stuff that he can do, that this one goes, I don't know. Yeah, you guys know what I mean. I'm bad at words.
Yeah, it's like when you talk to people and they're like, "Oh, I really love music," and you're like, "Really? What kind?" "Oh, any kind."
Anything.
You're like,
anything. I'm like, no.
You don't like music.
We can't relate. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with "Steal Away the Night." It's an anthemic song. The album ends with an anthem, a song that could have been in the middle of the album, or even could have been a leadoff track. And
that could have been
the album. And when you finish listening to Blizzard of Oz, you finish it on a very high note. You're still going, man, that's a great album, and that's that's so important for an album from beginning to end. It's got to have a good lead off track
Mm-hmm.
to hook you in. It's got to have a good middle part to still keep you engaged, and it has to have a good ending for you to go, man, that was great. I really loved it. So, Steal Away the Night for me on that one. So, let's take the tally. It's really great that it was three of us, because then there was a tiebreaker. Right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. So Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz won 5-3.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Wait,
Well, that
did I read that right? Yeah, I did.
yeah. I was looking at like the 100 greatest, like Rolling Stones does those like 100 greatest metal albums, and
Yeah.
this one in 2017, Blizzard of Oz was 9th, and Heaven and Hell was 37th. So I was surprised. So the ranking on that was interesting, but that, the verdict is in.
Yeah, now there'll be no more discussion because we know which one's the better album. Yeah, Blizzard won 5-3. And like I was telling Al earlier today, without giving it away, but I'm pretty sure he knew what I was talking about. Heaven and Hell, the album is so top heavy. When Blizzard of Oz,
I agree. The flip on that is,
and
let's talk about the two iconic producers on here.
Yeah,
we got Martin Birch on Heaven and Hell, who's a great producer.
Marty Birch.
We got Max Norman, who I just recently posted a picture of me and him. I met him like 2 years ago, 2.5 years, right before the pandemic hit. I met him at the Sons of Apollo show here in New Jersey. He was actually in the audience.
Oh, wow.
I saw him sitting alone, right? And I'm like, I got to go talk to this guy. This guy produced the albums of one of my guitar heroes. I can't just let him sit there alone. I got to go bother the
Well, and I bet it tickled him that you recognized him, because imagine being a producer, no one sees you.
Yeah.
Nobody knows who you are. So I'm sure he was tickled that you came up and talked to him.
He was out of his seat. He was sitting alone. He wasn't with anybody. I walked up to him. I'm like, excuse me, you're Max Norman, correct? And he's like, yes. And I was like, can I sit? He had an open seat next to him. So I sat next to him.
Yeah.
And I just said, listen, you produced some of my favorite albums. He did, man. I mean, he's produced Megadeth. He's produced a lot of great albums, man. And I started talking to him I'm like, listen, I'm a huge Randy Rhoads fan, so I got to ask you about, can you give me a Randy story or something? And, he's like, sure, And so, we talked about, like, working with Randy and just how he would effortlessly just triple track his solos. He would play one solo. He's like, all right, now I'm going to double track it. I'm going to play it again. And he would play it exactly the same way, but with little subtle differences to thicken up the sound. And then he's like, all right, I'm going to do a third track on top of that. And he would play the solo again, triple track. I mean, and Max said he would be blown away by his ability to just play the solo the same and have it sound the same with enough difference to make it sonically, really, really cool and thick. And then the same thing with riffing, like his riffs, he double track, triple track, the guitar riffs, and I mean, he said he had an ability to just really be flawless on doing that. So,
wow.
And he was such a sweetheart, just a English gentleman, and I'm like, can I take a picture with you? And he's like, yes, by all means.
Yeah.
Took a selfie with him, and you'll see it on my Facebook page. And,
I saw that.
Just a sweetheart of a man. And but I will say this though, out of these two albums, I think the production's better on Heaven and Hell. I like the production better on this. Randy's sound on here, while his guitar sounds great, sounds a little on the thin side. It would sound better on the follow-up on Diary of a Madman. I think they had more budget for that album and stuff. But I think Heaven and Hell as a whole, the drums and bass and guitar, I mean, they all sound amazing on this album. And it still has Bill Ward on here too, which I love.
Yeah.
Not to take away from Vinny Appice, but Bill Ward's one of my top 5 favorite drummers.
Yeah.
And he's still on here. Although he's not really the Bill Ward of like the earlier Sabbath. I mean, he's a little more subdued on this album. I have Tony Iommi's book, so and the called Iron Man, and he talks about this period, and that Bill was really struggling with alcoholism.
Yeah,
You're having a lot of problems.
And a lot of problems, and really Tony really kind of directed him on the album, like really just giving him cues on like what to drum and stuff, and it wasn't the fiery Bill Ward of like the earlier Sabbath stuff. And you can hear it, man, when you listen to the album. It's not it's not like the drumming on like the first album or Paranoid or whatever. It still sounds great though. I mean, for a guy struggling so much with abuse and like that, and just for him to still sound that way. I mean, I know you can spruce it up in the studio a little bit, but when you make a mistake, you can go back and fix it. But still, it still sounds great.
Drums are so complex, though. Like, you can't just be hammered off your ass and be good on a drum. Like, it's such a weird instrument.
Well, Bill Ward has said that he doesn't even remember doing Heaven and Hell.
Yeah, I read a thing that
that's crazy.
They sprayed some kind of like cleaner on him, and it was under lights, and it started him on fire. And he has like scars to this day. That's what it was talking about. And he's like, I don't even remember that happening. It was like, holy shit! Like, you had 3rd-degree burns, and you don't remember.
So I propose that question to you guys. What do you think is the better produced album? For me, it's Heaven and
Hell. Heaven and Hell. Heaven and Hell is so clean. Like, I feel like any kind of albums, when you have any shredding, people are always like, oh, it's so dirty. Da, 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 da. And I'm like, no, like shredding can be clean, where it's like the notes are so on point. And that's Iommi is just so good at doing that, Definitely the vocals, like Dio's vocals on that. His voice is like an angel. I don't know. He just has this like sweet, beautiful operatic voice that I love, Dio. So to me, that one always sounds better.
I've always liked Marty Birch. Mm-hmm. I was reading about him today, and the last album that he produced before he retired was Fear of the Dark.
I see Brad on the comment section. He thinks Max Norman wins the production on here.
Hey there, Brad. It's good to see you. So I've always liked Martin Birch ever since he started, doing, being an assistant for the early Deep Purple, and then taking over Deep Purple, and then Rainbow, and all those English metal albums, and then being almost exclusive to Maiden until he retired. Martin Birch is just one of the best, but I'm not the big production guy like Al is, because he breaks things down a lot more than I do. So I really don't have an answer for the production. I love both albums, and I would be lying if I chose one production better than the other, because I don't pay attention to it like in that kind of way.
I'm gonna pose one more question to you guys.
Sure.
So, album covers. What do you think is the better album cover? This is a tough one.
For me, it's easy.
They're both iconic, man.
The Blizzard of Oz album cover. I absolutely love it.
Yeah?
Yeah. Absolutely love it. I think it's fantastic.
What about you, Kate?
So evil.
It's tough because it's such a good, iconic Ozzy.
But
I really do like
Angels, man.
I know. I really like the Smoking Angels, and I like the style that artist does. I was reading some back stuff about that artist because that was interesting to me. Because I paint and do stuff, so that to me, reading about that and getting picked to be like, oh, here, we want your thing to be on a Sabbath album. Like, holy crap. That would be so amazing to get, somebody's like, oh, I like this painting of yours. I want it on my album. And it's Sabbath.
He also did Agents of Fortune by Blue Oyster Cult. Those are the only 2 album covers he ever did. Mm-hmm. And they had asked him why. He said, well, no one ever asked me again. He said that he would have loved to, but nobody ever approached him.
So weird, yeah.
I think I'm gonna pick Blizzard as well.
And
Yeah.
just so evil.
I do love the Smoking Angels.
I like the
cover,
Smoking Angels, and it was about
I like the Smoking Baby better. On 1984.
1984.
He
But
said
yeah,
he
man, this
saw the basis of that was because it was like some stage show that he was doing, and it was like a bunch of nuns were sitting backstage smoking, like women dressed up as nuns.
Right.
And that's how he ended up getting the inspiration for that. So I was like, that's a great story too. I just think it's so funny. So I love reading stuff into that. It's always
I love it too, because you start to read things about things you didn't even know, but they're so interesting, and you're like, why didn't I know this before? Yeah.
What were you gonna say? Yeah.
No, so this Heaven and Hell CD was part of this the Rules of Hell box set that I have.
Nice. And yours is all autograph.
Yeah, it's just signed by all of them.
I love Ronnie James Dio so proper to write it every time, because that was all the ones I sent you the pictures of, that it says Ronnie James Dio on everything.
Yeah.
I love Dio.
There's Tony's signature there.
So
there's
cool.
Geezer's there and Vinny there.
Yep.
So,
It's
but yeah,
cool.
Ronnie was such a gentleman. Like when I met him, man, he's definitely like all the stories you hear about him being a really nice guy is really true. He really cares about his fans, and just told me, like, I mean, I think I told the story before, but when I met him, I just told him, like, thank you for doing this. He's like, no, thank you, because without you, I wouldn't be nothing. And
he's humble.
He's very humble, And I miss the guy, man. I wish I could have met him more than once, but I'm just fortunate I got to meet him at all. Like I'm very touched. I mean, I'll never forget that experience for the rest of my life. So, a really good guy.
Okay. Brad is adding some stuff. He said he said the Ozzy album cover wins for him.
Okay, there you go.
And if he can listen to one of these albums for the rest of his life, it will be Blizzard over Heaven and Hell.
Ooh.
Which,
he should have been on this show too.
Yeah, I think he had to work, right?
Yeah.
So that, like, Ozzy's Blizzard of Oz was 4 times platinum. So if you think about how many albums that is, that's like kooky. That is so many sold. Yeah. So I was just thinking about that, but yeah, I don't know.
I ask y'all, what's y'all's favorite song out of both of them? Both albums.
Like the favorite song on each album?
No, on both albums.
Pick one.
No, combine. Pick one song.
If I had to pick one song?
One song from both albums.
Shit, man. That's a rough one. Well, let me look at the track listings again here real quick. If I had to pick one song from both the albums.
Don't drink bleach. Yep. I've thought about this all day, so I don't mind.
Oh my God, don't drink bleach.
You're putting me on the spot because I didn't really think about that.
No, that's all right.
I didn't have one picked, and thinking about it, because the one, when I listen to Lonely is the Word on the way home, I think that's going to be mine. Because that was one that, like, really caught my ear driving and just really listened to it. And I was like, damn, this song's good. Because I always end up thinking of, like, Neon Nights or Heaven and Hell. And then hearing that last track, I was like,
man, that song really did grab me.
It did. It caught my ear. Yeah. I don't know. It was weird. You ever just zone out driving and it's like some song catches you, So I'm like, all right, I think that's my one. Because I was trying to pick. It's hard to pick one out of both albums.
Because sometimes when you hear an album so many times, but then out of nowhere, a track will stick out to you that never stuck out to you before.
That's exactly what happened, because I had Heaven and Hell a few months ago. I ended up selling it, but I listened to it at least twice before I sold it, and it never piqued my interest on that. Like, you just listen to it. Yeah. I just have been listening to it. Like, I play test a lot of stuff if it's like a more expensive album, and I play test it, and I was like, man, I don't want to sell this. But then I never really noticed Lonely is the Word, never really like grabbed my attention, and that was on the way home. I was like, damn, that's so good. I love the way his guitar sounds. I love Dio's voice. Like, yeah, I don't know, it just caught me, so I have to do that one.
Yeah, so Brad picked one on each album. He went with I Don't Know and Children of the Sea.
Both good picks. Yeah,
but for me, I love the Blizzard of Oz album better, but Heaven and Hell, the title track, to me is better than anything that's on.
It's so good. That's what I would have picked originally, probably.
I I might have to agree with Andy on this. So I think Heaven and Hell might be my pick because, like I was going back before, man, like that.
So epic. I mean,
it's so epic. It's so epic, and like that build
so
up
many
in the solo,
changes.
that build up in the solo that he does, that still gives me goosebumps and makes the hair stand up. Like, just, I mean, to this day, when I hear this song, it doesn't matter, man. It always makes me get, when that part of the song comes on, I get goosebumps, man.
That and the way that it ends with Dio just going off.
Yeah.
You know, with his vocals and going faster and faster and faster and faster.
So I think I might pick, I think I'm going with Heaven and Hell on that one. So, yeah.
Heaven and Hell. All right. Anything else we want to talk about these two albums that y'all want to share?
I'm good. I think we dissected them pretty good.
I think I make all those little notes.
That was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
it was great, man. Thank you so much for doing this.
Oh yeah. Well, thank you for joining me, because if not, it would just be me talking about these albums. It's so great to have two other point of views of the way that they hear things. Because believe me, later on tonight, I'm going to hear "Lonely Is the Word" a couple of times to see what Kate's doing.
What am I getting at? What am I doing?
I
know what she's talking about.
I think I'm going to revisit "Lonely Is the Word" too, because like I said,
I know what she's talking about.
I didn't listen to any of these albums like going into this. I was just going off of memory. But you know, I don't know. Maybe after hearing "Lonely Is the Word," it'll overtake "Steal Away Tonight." You know, I made my pick already, but you know, but I remember what Kate talking about now, how like Iommi soloing in it, kind of like a real long, really drawn out, cool solo. Now I remember that about that track.
It's like it seems like a really different solo for him. Like on this album, at least, it's like a really different solo in my brain. Like it stuck out all of a sudden. It was like lightning strikes your brain on a certain song. It's like, damn, that is really good.
Yeah, exactly.
All
right. Well, thank you.
Anything coming up? Shout outs. What do you guys got coming up?
I've got another show coming out next week. If y'all want to participate next Wednesday, since it's the 50th anniversary, I do the top 10 of 1972.
Ooh.
You know, there's a lot of stuff going on. People have long lists that are put out there, but I want to do our version of our top 10 of 1972. So let me know if y'all want to join in on that. It'll be next Wednesday at 8 o'clock. Oh, for real? Is it?
Mm-hmm. And my birthday's coming up too, June 12th.
I know, we were going to have your 50th birthday celebration on the show.
We should have it. I'm going to throw cake at my own face.
Do a cake smash to yourself.
Hey, happy birthday, Al.
That was so funny. I'm going to contact Kayla and pay her off.
Yeah.
Your birthday's on a Sunday. That's awesome.
Surprise.
Wait, that's on Father's Day.
Is Father's Day the same day?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah. Your birthday falls on Father's Day. That's awesome.
I was thinking about it today that the initial Sabbath, that self-title, it's 52 today.
What was that?
I slow dance a girl. It changed my life.
Right. That'd be great if you are able to join us for the 1972 top 10. But also, Brad's going to be retiring from work in a couple of months.
He'll have some more free time.
Yeah, so he said, I said, well, what are you going to be doing? He said, this. I said, all right, let's do this. So give him a couple more months so he retires. But yeah, I want to do 1972.
I'm down. That sounds like a good time.
All right.
A lot of good albums turned 50 this year, man. It's wild. One of my record buddies posts all those like record birthdays, and that's what I was saying. Today's like the 52nd birthday to the original Sabbath album.
Ozzy. God bless you all.
Ozzy agrees with that.
God bless you all. Okay, so let's take a poll since both of y'all want to do it. Y'all want to do top 10 or top 20?
Well, I think top 10, man.
Top 10.
Depending, see how many people come. We could always split the difference and do 15. But I think when you have like 4 or 5 people who'd be here for 3 hours.
Yeah, 10 is enough.
That would be like our real show.
Oh well, because we always do the honorable mentions afterwards. So
Yeah,
let's
I
just keep
like
that top
that.
10.
Yeah.
All right,
All right,
and
cool.
I'll put some feelers out there, but for sure next Wednesday 8 o'clock, 1972, our top 10, which is always great because we always go in different directions.
Yeah, I always like that. All of our tastes are so interesting.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
we are introduced to new things, and we introduce new things to other people as well. Any parting shots, guys? Al, you got anything coming up?
Just visit me on Be Cool to Be Podcast Out Facebook page, YouTube channel. I'm always putting. I got a contest going on there for.
Yeah.
Ironically, Ozzy Diary of a Madman vinyl. If you guys want to get in on it, you know, be all more the merrier. So I'm very close to hitting 1,000 subscribers. So
Yeah,
I'm
that's
gonna
awesome.
Wow.
I'm gonna. There's some people that have already entered it. So I think when I hit 1,000, I'm gonna do the drawing. So I think I think as of today, I was at 888, which is funny.
Ooh.
So just check it out. Check out my channel, subscribe to it, and thank you, man. Thanks you guys too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thanks,
that's
Andy, for hosting.
Oh yeah, of course. I
It's
always
always
love.
fun.
I always love doing this. You know,
Yeah.
it's so much fun for me. And Brad put he'll be a full-time musician starting August the 1st. So that will be
Nice.
his retirement date. Okay, guys. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for the comments. And come back next week here at Black Spinner Music Chat Podcast. I'm always changing the name of it every week. But come on back and watch us for the top 10 of 1972. Good night, everybody.
All right,
Night,
love you guys.
guys.
Take care.
Love you guys. Take
Have
care.
a good night.
Love y'all.
Bye bye.
Right.